Hi, I'm Nicholas Woolwork, CEO of Red Brick and globally published author of Investing in International Real Estate for Dummies, for the famous For Dummies self-help brand. Now, we're outside my client's site in down near Fleet in Hampshire, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of the externals and the landscaping, show you a few bits that have cropped up in previous videos that we've been looking at on the site, and just kind of show you some of the challenges and show you what's been done. I mean, there's a huge amount been done out here, and actually, when you do a development, one of the things to remember, certainly in costing, is drainage, is substations, is mains, incoming supplies and utilities, whether that's waste out of the building or electric and water and power into the building, everything like that going in and out. There can be a lot of money in the ground. If you're building new build, there's a lot of money in the ground in terms of contamination surveys, foundation works. When you're out of the ground, the risk tends to decrease, but you can get caught out when you're buying a land site on new build, for example, if the land is not right, if the soil composition is not correct, if you haven't done boreholes to check what you're going to be building on. Are you building on clay? Are you building on a soft moor type peat substance, which is going to be a disaster, of course, if you're talking new build. You need to do much more substantial foundations. On a site like this, it's about the existing building. What was this specification? What was the incoming supply rated at initially, and how do we increase that? When we talk to electricity companies, which is something that's really important to do early on in the phase of a development, right at the beginning, that can take months and months and months of agreements and negotiations to get in something like this, which is a dirty, great big substation, which we talked about in a previous video. I did a small video clip on this substation, but look at it, it's an absolute monster. You can choose which colour substation you get, by the way. I wanted purple. I don't have my top on because we're outside. I haven't got my PPE on, other than my nice flat cap, which I'm going to put on now because it's a little bit chilly. Just comments below, does the flat cap work or not? I will make a judgment on that based on the comments. Massive, dirty, great substation. We could have spec that purple, or in fact any RAL colour you want. RAL is just the kind of colour palette that you can choose from when you're specking out colours, usually of anything, but it can be metal or aluminium windows or metal frames, stuff like that. But we went for green, obviously, just to blend in with the trees, blend in a dirty, great big substation as much as you can. Obviously, it's blended in with this tree line as much as possible, and the other side of it, actually, if you can just pan up there, you can see that whole corner is trees, so it is, relatively hidden. And I think we've got some more decorative fencing to go around it to break it up even further. So, yes, the substation cost in the end about somewhere between about £65,000–70,000 from memory. We had about 50,000 in the budget, so we've used a bit of contingency for the extra works on the substation, and better than the 120 grand I think the electric company, I'm not quoting numbers by the way, on my other video it will say the exact numbers. I haven't looked these numbers up for several months, but it was about 120, 130 grand from memory from that substation, what they said it would cost, and we negotiated it down with the electricity supplier and made sure that we got the incoming supply just right, and got their cost down for installation, because it can be quite costly. So we've installed the base, stuff like that. So again, we've worked with the electricity supply company. One thing that's really important I do want to highlight, which has happened to us on this site, is actually getting an electricity supplier to take the supply on for the building. You'd think they'd want to bite your arm off for new business and say, yeah, great, 44 flats, whole building, we'll sign up to that and be your main supplier. No, found it really, really tricky. Energy shortages, any energy issues here in the UK at the moment, at the time of filming, early 2022 we're in now, pretty tricky to get an electric specifically supplier to supply the building. We've got one, so it's sorted, and that'll be hooked up. And then the individual buyers, once they've bought the units, they'll go and sign up themselves and get their own utility bills in place. But for the main supply, initially getting the meters in, meter carriers, all that sort of stuff, found that quite tricky actually. But that was one thing that's got sorted. So get the tip of that for the day really. Electricity, main services, get in early, get those orders in, get speaking to utilities companies, make sure you've got your M&E contractor, that's your mechanical and electrical consultant, to spec up. That's the person that specs up the electrics and plumbing design of the building. Design your building in terms of those main supplies early on and get a really good indication of kind of worst case scenario, so you can get on and order the appropriate supply from the utilities company. It doesn't matter how big your site, even if you're doing 3 or 4 flats, if you're buying, if you're just converting the upper of shops or a small office, it could have a next to no incoming supply, just enough for a few laptops and some LED lighting. You could find yourself in for a bit of a shock. I had a small site a few years ago which was just, I think, 3 HMO flats in an office conversion, and we needed to dig up the road for about 100 metres. And I think, you know, from memory, 30, 40 grand the cost, and we were expecting a couple of thousand. So it can bite you in the proverbial bottom if you're not careful. So get talking to suppliers, get an M&E consultant on early. Your architect might better help if it's a much smaller site, but generally M&E consultants are quite useful for things like that. And start speaking to the energy companies. Anyway, labour that point. Let's walk on down the site. You know, we'll get an idea. Actually, what I want to show you is the absolute disaster this is. This is a storage area, but what you can see is where we've had to dig up. This is where all the electrics has come from, that substation. It's been backfilled basically now, you know, but this is where we've dug huge amounts of drainage up. And over the coming few weeks, as we're about 3 months to completion, practical completion on this site, we're going to have to re-tarmac all this area. We're going to have to make it look nice. So it looks a complete disaster now, but it's storage. It's, you know, backfilled from the mess and from all the major drainage coming in. And actually you can see here, I'm going to walk around this way, sorry. You can see these are all the main drains that have come in the building, all the way along the outside, all along here. Huge drains that come out from the flats. And if I can get one of you guys just to pan down in there, have a look down the drains. There you go. This is just what you wanted to be doing on your Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, wherever you are watching this particular video, looking down drains. You know, it's such a glamorous job. Don't let anyone tell you different. Being a developer, being a property investor, it's not glamorous. I'm walking around in muddy boots, looking down drains. So yeah, it's yeah, don't believe all the hype from lots of people out there that make you think you can become a millionaire in 5 seconds. You can't. It's blooming hard work and messy work. But you know, keep going, and you know, building significant wealth through property is entirely achievable. But it's more down to hard work, dedication, not giving up, putting up with all the crap, fixing problems. You've got to be a massive problem solver. I mean, as hopefully I've demonstrated through documenting this site, we've had hundreds of problems. You know, you're never so experienced you don't get problems, because the sites throw stuff at you. You know, you're constantly being chucked problem after problem after problem. So it's about pulling the team together, trying to minimise those problems, and certainly minimise the impact of those problems, so that the designs can be tailored, tweaked, amended to fix the latest problem that you found. You know, I think, you know, one of the latest problems which I touched upon on our walkthrough video earlier, which hopefully you'll see on the channel, guys. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon. You can follow the whole journey of this site that we've up to date. We've still got another 3 months left on it. And I'd love to be showing you finished units and reservation forms in a few months that we've been selling sites. And one of the latest problems was the plaster. We were doing the tape and jointing rather than skimming, and we've had to revert to some skimming because of drying issues. So that's another problem that we have up. You know, depending on the time of year you're doing certain trades, that can have issues. Electrical companies we just touched on, services, those can be, you know, huge issues. And oh, actually, I'll tell you what, I wanted to show you something over here just quickly whilst we're on it. Let's have a little wander over here. This is going to be a little pedestrian walkway through to the pavement. It's part of the planning application. This site actually came with full PD planning approved. But yeah, we've just managed to level. We found a nice route through amongst the trees. We'll just trim these trees down so they're nice and safe. And there'll be a nice simple gravel sort of style driveway with borders down the edge of it. Probably get rid of these curbs and do a drop curb or something. And you've got a nice walkway straight over to the pedestrian walkway there, which means people can nip over to the competitors and use all their facilities, which will be wonderful. So yeah, just kind of highlighting a bit of an update really on some of the externals, some of the drainage that's gone in. The scale of that kind of stuff is what I want to impose upon you. You know, anyone that's getting into property development, you know, coming off the back of a course, for example, it all sounds super easy when you're sat there in a classroom, but when you get out in the practical world, and you're struggling to get going, these kind of things can pose a huge barrier to entry, and the level of knowledge and construction expertise required to deliver sites, understand all the risks, price it up with a competent QS team with a proven track record, is the difference between going bust or not on your first of 1 or 2 or 3 developments. Remember, you're most likely to go bust on your second or third development, where you're getting a bit cocky, you've nailed the first one through, you know, hard work, determination, and a bit of luck, and actually you go and push out the boat and properly try and do something that's a bit more contentious than you might have planned. Those are the tricky sites. We've done well over 30 commercial conversions in red brick, and I'm doing many more, working alongside my mentee clients like this. So with all that in mind, if you'd like to work with me in one of your own sites, I'm out there to be able to work with you on various different levels, whether it's through mentoring packages, acquisition mentorship, where I kind of project manage your whole site like this, or whether it's joint venturing with us so we can go and do a development together, then reach out to me using the details around this video or at nicholaswoolwork.com/mentorship. I'd love to hear from you. I hope this has been a useful video, updating some of the substations, some of the drainage, some of the major external works that have been going on this particular site, some of the problems that we've overcome, and hopefully some tips and tricks to inspire you, let you know it is possible through hard work and determination and the right power team. And yeah, stay positive, get out there, do some deals, find some sites. I'd love to hear your comments down below, hear what you guys are up to, and see you on another video very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.